Okay, so we're going to continue with the third question here, where it says, create a linear system to model this situation. So, an artist was commissioned to make a 625-gram statue of a raven with 40% silver alloy. So this is what you want to end up with. You want to end up with 625 grams of 40%. Okay? Now, how are we going to come up with that 40%? Well, it would be nice if we already had 50% or 40% silver alloy, but they don't sell it like that. They only sell 50% and they sell 25%. So, we have to create 40%. Well, I don't know how many grams of each of these I'm going to need. So what can I call that? I can call this X and I could call that Y. So this is grams of each alloy. Okay? Can you see one equation that we could come up with for the number of grams that we have? So we could have X grams plus Y grams equals 625 grams. So that's how much total mass we have. Now what we need to figure out is how much silver do we have? Well, I'm going to use a certain amount of the 50% silver. I'm going to use a certain amount of the 25% silver. And all together, I will end up with 40% of this 625 as the silver. So that's where I get my second equation from. But instead of using 50 in my equation, what should I be using? So let's use 0.5 and then we'll use 0.25. Okay. So my second equation is 0.5x plus 0.25y, and that equals 0.4 from here of the 625. Okay? Now this equation is talking about the silver content. So everything needs to be in terms of the silver content. So that's why I'm multiplying the 625 by 0.4. So 625 times 0.4 is 250. And then I can just rewrite the rest of it. All right. So this is one of my equations. And this is my other equation. Okay. So now in the second part, I need to solve this system to figure out the mass of each alloy needed. So I've got X plus Y equals 625, and then 0.5x plus 0.25y equals 250. All right, so what approach of solving do you want to use for this? Let's use elimination. Okay, so which variable would you like to eliminate?
X.
So let's eliminate x. So what do I need to do to maybe one of the equations in order to do so? What if I multiplied this by 2? What do I end up with?
0.10.
I end up with, what's 2 times a half is 1. So x plus, what's 2 times a quarter? A half. And then what's 2 times 250? 500. So now these are my 2 equations that I'm working with. Am I going to add them or subtract them? Subtract. So let's change the signs of, which one do you want to change the sign of? let's change the sign of the top one. Okay, so we'll go minus, we'll change this to a minus, and this will be minus. So my x's are eliminated, right? And then what do I end up for my y's? 0.5y. What do I end up for my constant? 125. Okay, so divide both sides by 0.5. And so then y equals 125 divided by 0.5. That's the same as multiplying by 2. Okay, so y is 250 grams. And then now how can I figure out what x is? So let's use y equals 250 grams and substitute it into the first equation, x plus y equals 625. All right, so now here in the first part I used elimination, and now I can use substitution because it's a lot less work in this case. So x is equal to 625 minus y. X is equal to 625 minus 250. So what do I get for x? 375 grams. Okay, so now let's write a sentence or let's write a statement so that we can kind of be more clear with our answer. So so the artist has to use uses 375 grams of the 50% alloy and 250 grams of the 25% alloy. All right, and now I want you to have a look at this last question here. I want you to try this on your own. I'm going to tell you what the answer is, but it's very similar to the questions that we've done before, okay? And yes, you will end up with fractions. So here, the answer is negative 1/3 and 2/3. So this is your x value and your y value. All right, so good luck with that. Check with me if you're having troubles. And there's the homework for this section, okay, folks?